everybody, welcome back in. Thanks for visiting Just the Best Parts. I'm SP and I'm back in the chair where I celebrate everything Star Wars. Today I'm talking about the very best parts of Episode 3 of the Skeleton Crew, and I've got some things to say, so let's dive in. First, I just want to say how surprised I am at the audience reaction. You know, I thought that this show was going to be attacked pretty harshly by the media and fans, but I'm happy to say that the opposite seems to be the case. It seems like most people are really liking the show, and I'm glad for that. You know, it deserves some good praise. It's a good show, and it's kept me invested in story and characters. Not to mention, there's some meat on the bones here as far as story is concerned. I'll be talking about that in a little bit. But first, I wanted to just really quickly touch on the visual effects and cinematography. I'm loving how they're filling the space on this show. Port Borgo really feels populated. It's super dense with every kind of species wandering around. It's like a living, breathing community. And I love for once that it's not tan and brown and beige. You know, the Tatooine color palette is just getting overused in my opinion, so this has been a welcome addition. And that escape scene was amazing. I really like the concept of getting all tied up in the cables and ships, and you know, and that kind of plays towards, you know, the old days of the ships being moored at port, and I think that they translated really well in, you know, the space opera genre here. I thought it was really fun. And this dude right here, he's my new Glup Shido. That dude is awesome. And of course, the scene of the cable breaking and snapping back at the deck, that was really unexpected and cool. Great sound design there as well. Another great action sequence, of course, was the X-Wing chase. I always like to see X-Wings in these shows because it helps to ground these new shows in, you know, the Star Wars iconography. And it makes it feel more familiar in a way that isn't like beating you over the head with it. But the best part of this scene, absolutely, without a doubt, was Wim grinning ear to ear in the turret. That scene was exactly how I felt when I was 7 years old after I watched Star Wars for the first time. And lastly, it wouldn't be the same without giving a nod to Amblin with the whole silhouette moon vibe. I thought that was nicely done without being too over the top. So next, I'd like to talk about the parents. I thought that this scene was very interesting. We learned two things. One, the parents are definitely serving as kind of the B story that helped move them along and grow as parents, as well as kind of uncover more of the AT-AT conspiracy. And when I watched this, I realized that these people are 100% under the control of a surveillance state. Only the droids seem to be in control. I mean, look at them. There's a reason why the designers made these things literally look like cameras. And who is the supervisor exactly? Is it another droid? Who knows, but I think that whoever this is, they're going to be the big bad of the show, not Brutus. I think Brutus is there to just kind of throw us off, as badass as he is, and I absolutely love him. You once, twice. Could this be like a remnant or an offshoot of the Trade Federation? Maybe. They've always relied on droids. And then we have Kim mentioning that there was a bunch of special planets that were hidden from the galaxy in the Old Republic. Well, I thought that was interesting. I mean, the timeline of the Old Republic goes back quite a ways, but I was wondering if there could be any type of connection to the High Republic era. The reason I thought that was because in the Light of the Jedi book, that's the first book in the High Republic series by Charles Soule, the Supreme Chancellor at the time, her name is Lena So, she mentioned commissioning great works throughout the galaxy numerous times in those books. So I don't know, there may be a connection there. Was it possible that this planet was being shielded from destruction by the Nile, which happens to be the main baddies in the High Republic? Or could this plotline have something to do with the beginnings of the First Order? Tie it up with the sequel trilogy? I don't know. And that's what I like about this, is that there's a lot of directions that they can go with this whole storyline, and it'd be actually very interesting. They could go into the past, they could go into the future, and create a compelling storyline that you're invested in. And as far as character growth is concerned, so we've got Captain Silvo, we've got Jod, we've got Crimson Jack. When I first heard that Jude Law was going to be playing the role, I was interested. I've always liked Jude Law, but I was worried how he'd play against a bunch of kids. Turns out, just fine. I think his character's great. There's a bit of depth there, although it's a little bit tropey, but that's fine. I do keep going back and forth whether he's Force sensitive or not. If he is, he does seem to be kind of gray. He seems to be someone that might not have any problem doing some bad stuff, but also seems to have the potential to do some good. You know, on the one hand, here he is looking shifty AF while listening all about AT-AT, but on the other hand, he really seems to care about KB in this scene. So either he's conflicted or he's a complete D-bag to involve these kids in the first place. And I don't think that that's the case. I hardly think that Disney would allow that. So my take is that he's done some bad stuff, can use the Force here and there, but he has a heart of gold when it counts. So basically kind of a Han Solo archetype. And he did mention that he was lost too. I'm curious to learn what that's all about. And we were also introduced to Kim, the owl. I think she's going to be our exposition character that will reveal more about At-Aten. I'm curious about the relationship she has with Crimson Jack. And by the way, can we give a hand to the creature designers and puppeteers? They are absolutely killing it in this series. Lucasfilm released a really great 2-minute video called Skeleton Crew Creatures and Droids. Go check that out, man. It's pretty amazing to see how these guys work and all the love and attention that went into these creatures and droids. It's pretty impressive. I don't really have too much to say about the kids. The kids are crushing it. I'm Team Neil all the way. I think he's absolutely amazing. But I like all the kids. I like all their stories. And of course, we got Brutus. Absolutely love that dude. You know, he's pretty two-dimensional, but he's still a badass in my opinion. I'm looking forward to seeing what he's up to. I have a feeling we're going to get one really good fight scene out of him, and that's good enough for me. And the last thing I wanted to mention is the music. The main theme is by Mick Giacchino. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and I'm not really familiar with any of his work, to be honest. I know I've heard the name, and I believe his father was a composer as well. But I am liking what I'm hearing so far. I think that the score it's very different, but it still fits. I really like it. And the thing that really blew me away in this episode was the whole vintage sci-fi theremin music that was playing during the moon sequence. And you can just tell that there's a lot of nods to old science fiction. You know, that was popular with like these old shows like Lost in Space, Forbidden Planet, Day the Earth Stood Still. Of course, we had Star Trek use it for the main theme. So I thought that was really neat that they would introduce a theremin into Star Wars. It fits so perfectly. Overall, I thought that the episode was great. I'm continuing to like the show, and I can't wait for next week. The show's totally got me hooked in. So what did you guys think of the episode? I think that there's definitely more going on than meets the eye. I think we're going to get the rug yanked out from underneath us at some point. At least I hope so. We'll know soon enough, but that's it for me today, kids. I'll see you next week with my take on the best parts of Skeleton Crew episode number 4. I'm SP with just the best parts, and I'll see you soon.